My name is Yasha Ismailoğlu and I'm a Turkish Cypriot. The meaning of Yasha means to live. If the family believed that there was a curse on the marriage of my mom and dad, and then when I was born, my uncle bought me, they put me on the scale and they bought me, he paid money to my mom, he bought me to break the circle of the curse, and they put my name Yasha, means to live. I was born October 1945, just after the Second World War, in a village called Trahoni in South Cyprus. I grew up with animals and horses until 12 years old, but I wanted to go and study to become a doctor or a solicitor. My father wouldn't allow me to go to a secondary school. And one night I decided that I will leave the village and go to the city and find my grandmother. And then one night, after everybody went to sleep, I ran away in the darkness, and then I could even now, I went to a cafe where they drink Turkish coffee and etc. And then luckily one of my uncles was there because he was a driver taking workers to British bases. And then he took to my grandmother, and then my grandmother and my uncle and auntie wouldn't let me go back to my dad. So there was court battles between them. And at the end, my grandmother won the case and I became my grandmother's under her care. And then I studied the secondary school at Limassol Turkish College. But then there was an intercommunal fighting between Greeks and Turks. And then I became a young Mujahideen, a young Turkish Cypriot soldier. And then I was trained to use gun, ammunition and explosives. And then in short time I became, I think I was 19 years old. I was running a team of 120 men with specialized on blocking the streets against the Greek tanks. And in actual fact, on the 13th February 1964, we blew up a tank that was coming inside of the city, and then we stopped the war. And then, because my been very, I could say, silly brave, they wouldn't allow me because I wanted to go further education. By then, I finished the college, and I was very, very successful because then I published my first poetry book. And then I wanted to go to university. There was no university in Cyprus. I had to go to Turkey. But because I was running this Mujahideen team, they wouldn't allow me to go. And then people who they had very rich parents, somehow they were taking their children to bring it here in the United Kingdom or Turkey. But I had to wait for 3 years, and at the end of the 3 years, I decided that I will escape. And I handed in all my keys and passwords of ammunition dumps and everything. And then at the borders, I paid money to the Greek soldiers. They applied for a passport for me, and I went on a Greek ship from Limassol to Rhodos, and from Rhodos to Kuşadası to Turkey. But on the way, I was so scared on the ship because I was thinking, if the Greek sailors, they know that I was a commander of a Mujahideen, they will kill me, they will throw me in the sea. But who knows you? But psychologically, I went into my room and I waited, but it was first time that I went on a ship. It was I was feeling very sick, and then went to Rhodos, and then we stayed there for 6 hours. Then I came out, went to the island, went to the mosque. There was a mosque there, and spoken to few Turkish people that remain, and I met a woman on the island, and that she was boarding on our ship to go to Kuşadası, Izmir, and that woman gave me a lift from Kuşadası when I came off to Izmir, and she put me on a bus to Ankara, the capital city, and that woman was a newly born artist. She was a very famous woman, Turkish woman singer, but I didn't know. And then on the following day, when I went to Ankara and I wake up at the Cypriot boarding house, I looked out and a huge poster of this woman, and I said to my cousin that they came to, I was staying in their room, I said, this is the woman that she brought me to the bus station at Izmir. They said, no, it can't be. This is a very, very famous Turkish singer. I said, yes, this is the woman. And then I went into Turkish University, and then I went into international relations and political sciences. And of course, by this time, you had the French students' riots. We're talking about 1968 now. Then in Germany, Italy, and the Turkish students in Ankara, they were copying all that activities, and it was the first time that this time it was a left-wing organization organizing meetings and fighting with the police and etc. But I was in a dilemma. I was puzzled because I came from an army background. I was a fighting machine, and suddenly, and then of course, like Mustafa Kemal Atatürk and the Turkish army for me was great and etc. And suddenly I meet these young people saying that, no, Karl Marx, Engels, and I didn't know what they were talking about. And I was stuck between Marxism and Turkish nationalism. And it took me about at least a year, and by 1968, because it was 67 that I went, 1968, I finally decided to join a young group, which there was the DevSol, which was the revolutionary left. And then I start studying the Marx and Engels and the left-wing views, and then I become very active then in students' movements, and then fighting with the police and etc. And I said, we just met. And I said to Nejla, why you didn't say to me that you had a sister, so beautiful creature? And she said to me, what are you going to do? I said, I was going to run away with her. And she said to me, all right, take her then. And that was how it started. And 3 days later, we ran away. And she was married to very high-ranking pilot. Talking now 68, 69, where a military junta has taken over in Turkey, and the military was in power. So we were hiding. In one hand, I was a new Marxist-Leninist. On the other hand, I escaped with a very high-ranking officer's wife. And by this time, then, while I was with her, I published my second collection of poetry called Step Kızı, and a little bit later I published my first short stories going back to my military experience, and then we got married, but with a very, very difficult years, and that was until 5th January 72 that I came here.